Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this panel on art and technology. And since there is such a small group, I think we do have enough time that we can ask everyone to briefly introduce themselves, just what you do, and that would be great, so that way we can get a flavor of the room. So we're going to start here at the first row.
Oh, sorry. We're talking about what we do?
Yeah, just briefly.
My name is Melissa Giles. I work in music, entertainment, and marketing, producing music festivals and concerts.
Great.
My name is Roz Abrams. I'm a sex goddess, and I want to.
Okay.
You better let us know.
So, you know what? How about you take my You're raising the bar. I know that's right. Okay, girl. Yes. The energy you bring into the room. I'm trying to say. Look, wait for me out front.
Dianne. Best talk of the day. My name is Regine Gilbert. I'm a freelance user experience designer.
Okay.
Just brief.
My name is Lindsay Seed. I'm a freelancer in photography and film.
Okay. How about you?
Hi, my name is O.J. Nelson. I'm a social worker, and my primary focus is children with disabilities and their families. But I'm also, as a social worker, the most fun person if you have a difficult decision to make.
Okay. How about you? Oh, Miss. Oh, okay. We're gonna go past.
She's scared.
I hear it a little bit. Yeah, she deals with.
Oh, you put the mic on there?
We are artists. We're a micro-STEAM nonprofit. We do arts and events for youth, educators, and parents. We focus on the elementary level.
Hi, my name is Anderson. I'm a writer and an educator and founder and chief creative strategist at Create Forward. We do community engagement and cultural organizing.
Okay. How about you, Miss?
I'm Samara Bowman. I'm a front-end development manager at Accenture and an entrepreneur.
Sir?
I'm Drew. I'm a freelance graphic style.
Go ahead, Drew. Finish up.
Miss?
Do you want to?
Okay, hi. I thought
Yeah, tell us who you are. We can't.
Not everything's all like.
My name is Jeff Goldberg. I work as a marketing consultant for startups, effectively helping them with growth. And I'm also the guy that you may have seen the past 6-7 months talking to his phone a lot, looking like an idiot, live streaming.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wine. I'm a second-year business student and hopefully budding digital media artist.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Angie Hancock from Experience Harlem, and I do marketing for Ebony Magazine as well.
Hi, Patrick Mark. I'm a technology and startup lawyer, and I have my own firm.
I'm Michael Elling. I reside here in Harlem, and I'm a strategy consultant.
I'm Julie Ducat. I have a multimedia marketing company.
Sir?
He's already taught.
Oh, okay.
It's my turn now.
Miss?
Hi, my name is Trisha Tate. I'm founder of Art and Money Matters. I do financial management for artists and creators with small and mid-sized businesses to help them prepare for growth and so they can free up their time to do what they love. And in the past 5 years, I've pursued my passion, which is dance. I've been years of Forces of Nature dance theater and tours with
Oh, wow. Great. How about you, sir?
My name is Matt Wilson. I'm a computer programmer by trade, but I use technology for all sorts of creative projects.
I'm Shanda. I'm a social worker and I work with people who have dementia also.
All right.
My name is Anthony Lee from freelance photographer and blogger.
All right, sir.
Hello, my name is Sean Nerson. I'm CEO of Medina EcoCity, which is a full-service branding strategies and design house, as well as CEO for EcoSpace, which is a co-working space which is geared for technology and creatives and entrepreneurs.
All right.
Hi, William David Caballero. I'm a filmmaker, composer, and
the opening speech for Charles Rangel earlier about my web series Grandpa Knows Best, which was picked up by HBO, and here's again my little grandpa figure.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. Grandpa appreciates it. And I have other projects as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Miss?
I'm Liz Dolinsky, and I own a marketing consulting firm focused on digital marketing, primarily companies in the high growth space. Just past startup.
I'm Amy Jansen, and I'm the GM of a technology PR firm.
Oh, okay. Miss? Right above.
Oh, hi, I'm sorry. Hello, guys. I'm Nola, and I'm with the Strategy Law Financial Services team. Been around for 85 years. I'm MBA, CFA, all the school stuff. And estate planning, different tax strategies, and insurance investments.
I work with DNA International Music Group. We have a brand new artist, very talented young man named Atlas Grind. He has a brand new EP mixtape called Call Me When You Need It. Came out 3 weeks ago on DNA International Music Group / Danger Zone.
All right. And the last person, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Anton Roden from the Bronx. I'm a graphic designer. Currently, I work at Artistry America. I've been there for about 2.5 years now, and we just launched the America Tonight, one of their new shows. I just actually rebranded the whole entire show. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. My name is Savona Bailey-McClain. I'm the Executive Director and Chief Curator for the West Harlem Art Fund. And I am pleased to present the members of the team Synced. And this was a collaboration between the West Harlem Art Fund and Pratt Digital Arts. So to my right, I have Debra Swack, I have Dianne Smith, I have Rafia Santana, and Carla Gannis. And we're going to share with you a little bit about that project. It was an art and technology project. It's the second year I've produced Under the Viaduct, which is on 12th Avenue from 125th Street to 135th Street. And the reason why we did the project is because I realized that the viaduct was a beautiful structure that was underutilized and could be an outdoor venue. And since we deal with public art, I thought this would be a great way of doing it, and technology would be the best way to go about doing it. So we're going to start off the panel with Tony. No, is it Tony? Troy. He's going to play the first video, and that first video is the works in progress of Dianne Smith's piece, and it was Flash.
Project was inspired by a poem written by Rita Dove, I think circa 1932 probably, I think that's about right, called Under the Viaduct. It's a one-evening intervention in collaboration with Pratt Digital and West Harlem Art Fund. My goal is to create a narrative, but really ultimately is for the viewer to be able to engage with the work of art from their own lens and their own perspective.
I'm Ed known like that at Pratt. I work here. I teach special effects, animation, motion graphics. Came with a Fulbright in '73, and since then I've been doing animation. I tried to do something else, but it didn't work, so I came back to telling stories with images. I was in charge of the special effects. Then Carol is doing the animation, and we combine together what or how long is it going to be each of these images and how they blend together.
I'm a graduate student at the Digital Arts program at Pratt. I've been experimenting with stop motion for 5 years now, but I've really been serious about it as part of my craft for the past 2 to 3 years. I worked in the green screen room to stop motion animate Dianne Smith's sculpture, and we had her moving her sculpture around so that we could bring her sculpture to life.
I'm hoping that this is something that continues to move, you know, this idea of collaboration between two communities, the Pratt community, the Harlem community, the digital art community, and the visual arts community, you know. So I hope that it's something that remains fluid.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you for that. I went to Pratt, and Dino was my advisor.
Oh, wow.
When I went to school, he was suffering from cancer. It's so great seeing him.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So I'm going to ask Dianne to just tell us in about 3 minutes a little bit about her individual project, which is Flash.
Well, as you heard some of the explanation in the video, but further than that, I think it's important to start with why I use the brown butcher paper. Some years ago, I was asked to do an installation in New York depicting the lives of and history of African Americans in New York. But I didn't think I could do so without addressing the Middle Passage and the fact that New York was probably the largest slave port in the country, and it was one time where New York's inhabitants were mostly enslaved Africans. So thinking about the installation not from a very sort of conventional way, but thinking about how I can best represent and articulate that. And I thought that the brown butcher paper, for many reasons, one, its historical context, the brown paper bag test, the idea of cargo and packaging, and thinking about the enslaved Africans and how that was a metaphor for how they were crunched and pushed into corners and things of that nature. And so as I began to have it sort of become part of my repertoire, I began to use it more and do these large-scale installations where I transform spaces with the brown butcher paper. The paper then began to talk about the plight of people of color throughout the diaspora. And this was from a historical, cultural, social, political, even just the everyday family life perspective. And what that meant. And also I thought about my own family from that lens and how people in my family aged and looking at the wrinkles in the skin of my grandmother, my aunts, and the mark makings that were in those wrinkles, the marks and the stories that they hold and they tell. And so it became this idea of the hidden truths that are within us all, the stories that are embedded in us all. And then it became about people in general and this idea of lived experiences. So when I signed on with Savona to do this project, and again, taking it from Rita Dove's poem, which was loosely based on the story of her grandparents and their lived experience, it seemed befitting to take that idea of imprint and histories and mark makings and bring those two things together with the poem. And thinking about urban life, because the poem is about urban life. And when I thought about urban life, I also thought about mark making and imprints, the sidewalks, the cracks that are in the sidewalks. And so the paper was also a way to sort of emulate those cracks in the sidewalks and to kind of tell that story of this community that I hold so dear and love, the Harlem community. And so the images that I combined still images that I take throughout the Harlem community on a regular basis. It's part of another installation I do called Imitation of Life, where I document day-to-day living. And it's very important to me. So to bridge those things together seemed really appropriate for this particular project. That's it in a nutshell.
Great. So now we're going to see the second video by Rafia Santana and her installation of Loud.
No, this might not be the updated audio. Because we took an older one. Oh my God, this is so good. Yes. Yay. You're behind the camera. Yes. All right. We got in the space. Let me see. I got you guys blurred. Oh, that one's good. That's whoa.
This is so good. Also, okay, so with the video thing, I mean, with the audio, it's just not the audio file.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think this is an older, like, test audio.
Cool.
Okay, now we get the other side, because then I'm going to watch them together. Whoa. Let's take it.
Alright, that was when we first got it to work. That was like the first, literally, I didn't know that we were going to be watching that. But we were all sort of just amazed that we had pulled it together through the many different bugs that we have experienced. But what you were viewing was just sort of a psychedelic representation of being disrupted by construction and just your pathways having to be changed in terms of your neighborhood being gentrified. It was sort of a specific experience that I was playing off of having a condominium being built directly next to my apartment, like right next to my bedroom, and they start at 7 in the morning, and I don't wake up at 7 in the morning. And and having the neighborhood be warped in such a way that it's really disorienting, and because I've lived in the same space. I've lived in Clinton Hill my entire life, and just seeing that change in my like a street that I wasn't supposed to walk on at night being like totally like fine now, but then again we don't see sort of like the neighborhood people that we saw often. And so I had 3 different stages in this project, where there's like a sleepy, calm state, and then there was the average daytime state, and then there's the disruption phase, which was what that last wild one that said loud was. And we had a wonderful team, a wonderful class of all women, of programmers, animators, and like audio remixers. So I write and produce music, and I have songs that also speak of my experience, just lived as is. And so I handed them a bunch of source material. I handed them designs that I make, and then I handed them the audio and sound of like construction and sound of like train noise and everything. They remixed it, and the programmers, they set it up on the Connect so that when more people crowd into the frame in front of this projection, in front of the installation, it gets more dense, it gets louder, and the music and the sounds get glitched and like all mushed together, and it gets to be overwhelming, sort of to represent the overcrowding of the city. But that's about it. Thank you.
So now we're going to have the 3rd video, and this is by Debra Swank's team, and Swack. Team, and her team was dealing both with sound, digital, and live dance. So you're going to see the combination of all of that in a short clip, because it was really a 12-minute performance, but you're going to see a minute's worth of that group. Troy?
Hi. When I did that piece outside, I was thinking about the role of the animal in the displaced animal in the urban environment, just like people, and how do we kind of maintain our human spirit, and how do we maintain, solace we draw from animals. How do we retain our love of nature, our relationship to nature in the urban environment, and when there's so many things competing for our attention? So and I thought this related very much to the poem because it addressed not only the individual but the environment in which we live in, and so it's a quality of life issue. And now we put all our animals and all our nature in parks, but really 100 to 100 years ago this was a totally different environment, and animals really inhabited all of the area. And I did a Fulbright grant this summer at Banff Center for the Arts, and they actually have pathways for animals to walk across. They have bridges. So I thought that was really interesting. I work with Pratt. Initially, all my images are derived from real animals. They were actually derived from patterns, photos I took of taxidermied animals at the Museum of Natural History. And it's just kind of interesting to see, historically how we treat people, how we treat animals, and how these things are hopefully changing, and we have more respect for our environment and each other.
So the fourth artist, Charlie Reynosa, couldn't make us today, but Carla Gannis is going to speak on behalf of Team Reynosa, and his piece, Harlem Spills, is going to be presented now. Oh, by the way, there's no sound.
In the making.
Thank you. So I'm going to have Carla talk about the technology behind Harlem Spills.
Okay, is this working? I'm first going to preface this with
Savona introduced me as the assistant chair of the Department of Digital Arts at Pratt. So I have really enjoyed getting to work with Savona and all of the artists of West Harlem Art Fund on this project. And in addition to being the assistant chair and the person who helped organize this event and helped select faculty members and students to work with each of these 4 artists, I also had the opportunity to work with Rafia, so on Team Rafia. And Rafia came every week to class and worked closely with my students. And it was a tremendous opportunity for over 25 students to work with these artists. And there were 4 faculty members involved, including Ed Dorino, Blake Carrington, Matt Broach, and myself. So now to talk about Charlie's piece, and he worked with Blake Carrington, so Team Charlie, was about Charlie thinking first about this large wall, because the artists took a site visit and they each chose different parts of the viaduct that interested them. And then they set about to figure out ways that they could activate that space, because this is site-specific work. And so Charlie started sketching, and Charlie has all sorts of characters that he draws. He's a very good graphic artist. And he started imagining first water spilling over the wall. And then he was like, what if it's paint and different colors of paint? But Charlie at this point is used to making drawings and working in a space that's what is a word, more analog, we'll say. And so it was a tremendous kind of opportunity for Charlie and then for our students, a lot of whom in this particular class do a lot of coding, to help him realize his vision as this dynamic, interactive work of art. And so there were 4 sensors at the actual event, and so they were step sensors. And so 4 paint pours were falling down the walls of, it was 135th. It was right at 135th. Yeah. And so based on that detection, animations would be activated. So a team of students animated each one of these paint spills. And then they were all color coordinated. So you had the spectrum of colors. But then these characters that Charlie has been working with for several years start to appear based on the sensors and people interacting with the piece. So it was a really dynamic piece. There are some photos I have. If anyone wants to check out, they're on our Pratt Digital Arts Facebook page of all sorts of people interacting, but I have a really lovely one of this little girl, and she is just going to town. And she's just, totally transfixed by this experience and realizing at this young age that she can actually affect what is going on in this experience.
Great. So before I start asking each of the panelists more detailed questions about the experience, I just want to let everyone know the reason why the 12th Avenue Viaduct was selected was because right next to the viaduct is a very large construction project, and that's the Columbia University expansion of their campus, one of the largest expansions of any college in the United States, 12 blocks long, an avenue deep. And I served on the community board during that entire period, 4 years out of my life. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is that the community kind of lost the battle in showing that they could actually positively impact the area. So one of the ways in which I thought we could is with art. So you will see the construction going around. So we had to deal with Columbia's construction, streetscaping by the city that's 5 years behind the streetscaping plan the community did ask for, and then the viaduct being painted per Columbia's request. So in the middle of all of this, we did our intervention series. And so now I'm going to ask the artists what their experiences were in it and how they felt the technology helped them to deal with not just construction, but dealing with making two-dimensional art, three-dimensional and interactive and inclusive of neighborhood character. So I'm going to start with Dianne because her piece was actually projected on the Cotton Club.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Well, a couple of things. I do work with technology myself, nothing to the scale in which I did with Pratt. So it was really nice to combine all of the things that I typically work with. And I am the type of artist that if I have something to say, I figure out the best medium to say it. And just so happened this digital collaboration was the best medium to say what I needed to say for this project. And projecting it on the side of the Cotton Club served multiple purposes for me. One, I did not mind the streetscape in front of the Cotton Club. For me, that was just another layer to the canvas. We're doing intervention. And the idea, I mean, the mere act of making art is disruptive and it's an intervention. So to bring that into the public space was really important to me. And to bring it there in conjunction with all of the construction that was going on with the viaduct in front of the Cotton Club was really sort of a collaborative experience. My piece didn't have sound because I chose to use all of the things that were going on around for the sound, the backdrop of sound for my piece. And even though the street wasn't being dug up, the idea was to have people to sort of envision what that sound would be like if they were actually there the day the men were digging the street in front of the Cotton Club and getting ready to put the trees in the ground. Sort of like having people come outside of themselves and imagine. So not to make art that was completely directly telling you something, but having you engage with community in a very different way, engage with the environment in a very different way was important to me as we collaborated with this piece.
And Rafia Santana, I want her to explain where we were exactly with her piece and how her team was able to deal with the challenges that was at that location.
Yeah, I mean, we were like across from the back end of Fairways. It was sort of like the desolate part, because, you know, in 125th, that's 125th, but it was like 134th, and it was just sort of dark, and nobody would be walking there unless they were coming through from somewhere else to there. So there would be people who didn't know, you know, what was going on, and they were coming from Fairway, and the little kids just walking by, and just sort of, you know, if they weren't paying attention, they would walk by and the image would change because they would walk in front of the sensor and they'd stop and look, and it was kind of cool that way. Or they get caught by the just sort of the poppy graphicness of it, and it was kind of, I liked it that way. Just people who happen to be stumbling upon and like that. I think that was the most fun, like, part of the human interaction. They were the people who knew, like the friends and family and the friends and family of the team that came through, and like they knew like kind of what was going on. They had heard of it, and then when they see it happen in real life, it's like the surprise of just the realization of what's going on. And I had a lot of fun watching, you know, people experience the project.
Okay, so Deborah, why don't you tell us about your very, very interactive work, Animal Pattern.
I come from a different background. I'm actually been involved in new media art since its inception. I'm like one of the few women who have a degree in computer science, and I'm not going to tell you from when. But I always used to have, like, I used to exhibit at Xerox PARC in Palo Alto, and this was actually the predecessor of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates stole Xerox's ideas, and I exhibited from like 1993 to like 1999, and I'm in this book called Innovations at Xerox PARC in Palo Alto, and it was Xerox's PARC 25th anniversary, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like on the downside at that point, but I used to have two degrees. I have two degrees. I have a degree in art and a degree in computer science. I do software testing. In my day job for SUNY Research Foundation on 125th Street, I work with the welfare system. I work in the department that sues the government, and we always lose. So, which is to say that we're doing a good service because people can, at least in this country, have a voice. If you know, and I think that's to our betterment, that we're able to, if we don't like things in this country, we could speak up about it and actually win, and actually triumph. So I think that's really a good, I like the fact that our department operates that way. But to me, this was interesting to work with a dancer, which I had wanted to do for this project for a long time. I had showed this project kind of all over the world. I showed it at the American Academy in Rome and at Bath Center for the Arts, and I had never worked interactively with dancers, and I wanted to, and I had shown Savona my proposal, and she says, I got a dancer, you know, so that's Savona. Savona will like put things, she's a visionary, she can put things together, and it just was very effective. And to me, what was the most interesting thing, even though like Columbia's taking over, is that we kind of took a little piece of it back, and for a night we kind of transformed the area, and I think really that's what art is, and art is transformative, and that shows that art, like the human spirit, can triumph even through adversity.
So we're going to ask the audience if they had any questions about how we went about doing it and any particular techniques or what they thought in general about what we were trying to do with technology and art. Yes?
So I don't know that much about this particular project, but can anybody just go and put art on a file?
That's a good question.
I'm on my way.
That's a whole in and of itself. But yeah, we struggled. I fought with the police from May until October, and we did 3 versions of this. I did 2 earlier intervention series where we had performance, we had lifestyle interventions, and we fought the police the entire time. The police did not understand what we were doing. They were judging the quality of what we were doing, which we said was none of their business. And they're supposed to deal with safety, not with curating art. And what it is that people are just not familiar with seeing art in neighborhoods that don't really have a lot of art in them. So therefore, they were asking me constantly, where was the face painting? And where was the bouncy house where the kids jump up and down? And where was the tabling for vendors? And we kept saying no. In fact, the Department of Transportation was my biggest, champion. And they said, no, this is not a street fair. This is not a block party. This is art. And it took a long time up until we did sync. And that's why I called it sync, about us all being in sync with each other, that the police actually understood what we were doing, because they really, honest to God, did not understand what we were doing. So yes, it's tough.
But don't they want a piece of the pie now?
Well, the Department of Parks does now. Any other questions? Yes.
Will, once the construction is done, will any aspect of the work be there to see? Will a physical manifestation be there, like a viewing gallery or something, or screens, that you can actually experience it as though you had been there? So you're standing on the viaduct 5 years from now or 2 years from now.
So it's private property. We did get fairways to help to allow the fabric on the wall for the dance piece. We did get permission from the Cotton Club, which is now turning into like a private canvas. So what we're hoping is to keep building on it next year and get more digital artists, so that way we can keep lighting up 12th Avenue and make it different every year.
We were just shopping there the other day, and we were looking at this dark alley.
That's
and
where
we were transfixed by it, like it's a hole. There's nothing there, because we had eaten at the little pizza place just up the way and parked the car across from that, and we're like, is it safe here? It's that foreboding. But what you just said brought it to light.
Yes. Someone else had a question. Yes.
I wanted you to speak more about West Harlem Arts Fund, because when you said the word, I just thought about like an investment fund, or
So,
I want to know what are the projects.
Well, I've done a lot, but it's about funding the community as opposed to being an investment fund. And so I started in West Harlem 17 years ago. Our anniversary is on January 1st. And so we've done projects outside of Harlem, too. We've done Chelsea, Times Square, the Bronx, different parts of Lower Manhattan, Dumbo, Williamsburg. I figured out about 8 years ago that I had to get outside of Harlem to gain the respect for what we were doing inside of Harlem. because there's this opinion about communities of color and the art that they do. I also struggle within communities of color who only want to see certain type of art, and it's about getting them to expand their vision and repurpose their vision. That's why I like Dianne's work, because Dianne's work, she was forcing people to look at life amongst blacks very differently. That's why I like Rafia's work, because hers was dealing with a lot of graphics and colors and looking at people from within. Charlie's work was giving a young person an opportunity who probably would never get an opportunity like this to work with animators and dealing with sensors and other different technology, which expands his mind. And with Debra, she's seasoned as a sound and digital artist, but now she mixed it with another medium, and now it brings it to a different sort of platform. So yes, that's what we're trying to do. And it's tough because also we're trying to get people within communities of color to invest in their neighborhoods, because as developers come in, as they look to bring in people to buy condos and stuff, they're not valuing the people, the traditions within those communities unless we start to invest in ourselves. Any other questions? Yes.
Great presentation.
How
artists working in and with traditional materials integrate digital. One project we are teaching is how to incorporate weaving on looms with tech. We add little bits to artwork.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Thank you. Any other questions? I saw another hand. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what was the reaction from the community to the artwork? How did they receive it? Are they coming out? Do they want more? What has been the reaction?
Go ahead.
That particular evening was very interesting for me because lots of people did not know, and there are restaurants in the area. So what's always engaging for me is going out into community when I make my work, wherever I travel to, and having conversations. So there was a young woman with a group of friends walking by, and she just wanted to go home. She didn't want to do anything else. She was done with the day. And she happened upon the projection, and she was like, this was the thing that just sealed the evening for me. Those are the reasons why I do what I do as a cultural worker, going out into communities and doing this kind of work. And further than that, watching the traffic roll by and people stopped at the traffic light, and the people are blowing to move on because they were transfixed by this intervention on the side of the white building of the Cotton Club. And what was most profound was the fact that the Cotton Club sign was there, and you can actually see the piece online. The Cotton Club sign was there, and then you have this brown butcher paper interwoven with scenes from the community, which was really kind of powerful because you have this idea of cotton and fiber and then the paper and all of the historical context again with that in a community like Harlem, and being not necessarily under the viaduct but adjacent to the viaduct and leading the work into the viaduct. It was all very important watching how, even though some people didn't necessarily stop, but that's what an intervention is, right? Mm-hmm. An intervention is a break in a moment. So the person doesn't have to stop long term for there to have been an intervention to have occurred. It's just a walking by and seeing it for that moment is what's important. It's the flash. That's why my piece is entitled Flash. Mm-hmm. It's the flash of that moment, of that visual moment that's really important.
Well, if we have no more questions, we'd like to thank you for coming out to our panel. We'd like to thank Philip Harlem. And if you have any questions, please come forward and talk to us before the next